Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing update number 3 for my 2023 Project Pan. So I am doing this in a rolling 10 pan style. So I have 10 items that I rolled in at the beginning of the year. And whenever I have an item rolling out, that's when I'm rolling something else in. So we do have some exciting things happening in this video. I do have one empty, and I actually have 5 roll-ins at the end of the video. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm anticipating using up a lot of products, well, 5 actually. I'm anticipating using up 5 products in April, and so I want to go ahead and roll in the replacement items today so that I can continue to track usage. I can continue to use products in those categories. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my update. So like with all of my Project Pan updates, I will have weights and pictures and comparisons popping up on the screen. And I also have my spreadsheets down below here on my iPad. So I'll be reading off, usage and weight changes and that kind of thing. I really kind of geek out about this aspect of how much time and how many uses it takes to use up a product. So that is why I love tracking these things. So we will go ahead and go in order that they are on my spreadsheet, and then I will go ahead and show my empty, I will show my roll-ins, and then we also have my Pan That Palette update at the very end of this video. Don't mind my hair. I'm getting it cut in about 3 hours, so if I rush through this video a little bit, it's because I have a hair appointment in a couple hours and I have to drive an hour to get there. But otherwise, let's go ahead and get into this so I can go get my hair cut this afternoon. So our first product that we had was my MAC Paint Pot in Painterly, and we have some exciting updates on this because I hit pan. And so, of course, this is a glass jar, so I finally hit the bottom and I can see through the jar. So we were at 52.29 last month, and then we weighed in at 51.86. So I used this 23 times and for 0.43 grams. Again, I'll have, images and everything popping up with usage and differences. I did use a little bit more this month than last month, but also I put makeup on my face more often. So I am super excited. I actually had to just cut my nails short to be able to get in here. I kept gouging it, which that probably is why there's a little bit more of a usage change also. But I am super excited to finally get to the bottom of this jar. Next, we have the Becca highlighter in Champagne Pop. Now, I did repress this between last update and usage throughout March, so this will look a little bit different, but this is what we're looking like right now. So this is one of the products that I will anticipate using up in April, so I am going to be rolling in another highlighter at the end of the video, but I'm super excited to have this much progress on this product. And again, I anticipate having this done sometime in April, so that will be an exciting empty for next update. I forgot to read off my weights for this one. So we were at 18.42. Now we're at 17.99. I used it 23 times for a usage of 0.42 grams. Another really satisfying product is my Becca bronzer in Bali Sands. And last month we had a little bit of pan, but this month, this is what we're looking like. So with this product, we were weighing in at 59.57, and now we're at 57.3. I used it 24 times, and we used 2.27 grams. By my calculations over the whole thing, I only have like a half a gram left in here. I don't know if that's accurate. I know sometimes the measurement on the back of the product, which it says it has 7.1 grams, typically you do get more product than that, but basically the 7.1 is the bare minimum that they can put in here. I am going to repress this sometime this month, depending on how thin it gets around the edges. once I repress it, I know it's going to go a lot quicker, but I am anticipating using this up in April. So that'll be super exciting to see another bronzer roll out of my collection. Next we have my lip products, and this is my little baby nub of the ColourPop lip liner in Little One. So I know last month I told you guys that I wrote and there's a dog hair on it, welcome to my life of living with German Shepherds. But I had put my line on there because that was how much of the actual product was coming out of this stick. So I'm anticipating that that's how far down it goes. I did have a little bit more progress, and I'll have my bullet journal image coming up. I did have a little bit more progress this month compared to last month, and I think I was just sharpening it more. I did wear this every single time I did my makeup, so I did my makeup 24, 25 times. I know I had a couple days where I did a lighter face, so I'm not sure if I used this, but we went from 4 grams to 3.38, so I did use up 0.62 grams of this product, and again, this is another one that I anticipate I will finish up in April. That rolls us into my next lip product, and so this is the ColourPop Velvet Lip in Virgo Moon. This is how much I have left of this product. So I will have my picture popping up with my comparisons. I did focus on this, and I did actually use this as a cream blush a couple times, and so I did get more usage out of this, and so you'll see in my tallies that, you know, we had quite a dip in this product. But we were at 30.79 last month. We're at 30.24. So that means that I used up 0.55 grams of lipstick. Now I have my Bobbi Brown corrector. And so I had pan last month, but I did go ahead and expand the pan. Let me try to clean this up real quick. These get kind of nasty because you rub your finger in them, but that's what we're looking like right now. So the pan did expand. So I had 14.07 grams of this last month. We're at 13.89. I used it 23 times for 0.18. So I did have more usage this past month than we did the month prior. I anticipate maybe another month or two of usage on this. I do already have a replacement for this in my Sephora cart to be able to purchase during the VIB sale, and I will talk about that in next month's buys and buys because, again, I have some thoughts about what I'm replacing this with. Next is my e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer, and as you guys can see, this is very, very thin. So I did some calculations because I have used up quite a few of these, and I think I only have about 10 more uses of this before it will be gone. And I calculated that by, you know, how much weight was changed depending on the usage in a month, and then kind of calculating, because I know how much the empty packaging of this weighs. So by seeing what the estimate weight is of the product and dividing it by how much I pump out. So math, again, I geek out about all of this. But again, I think I have about 10 more uses, so this will definitely be used up in the first part of April. And then, so this will be another thing that we're rolling in. But we had 33.7 grams last month. We're at 22.64. I used it 23 times for 11.06 grams of usage on this. So this will be a nice rollout for next update. Now I have my blush, which is the Tarte Party Blush. This is a mini. I think this was in everybody's collection from the birthday gift a couple years ago. But this is what we are looking like right now. My goal that I set for myself last update was to use this at least 10 times, and I did end up using it 13 times in March. So we were at 18.24, and now we're at 17.99, again with 13 uses and at 0.28 grams. I don't think I'm going to repress this yet. Once I wear away a little bit on this side, I think I'll repress it once it's kind of just a ring around the middle. I know because I've panned one of these before in the past, once I repress it, it'll go very, very quickly. But overall, I'm still loving this color. I'm going to continue to have a 10 use goal for myself. I'm going out of town for a work trip in April for a couple days, and I think this is going to be the only blush that I take with me, so that'll get a couple more uses in my tally book. Next, we had my roll-in product from last month, and I had used up the number 7 Lift and Illuminate powder, and then I rolled in one of my mixed pressed powders. And so this is a mix of e.l.f. Halo Glow and the Too Faced Peach Perfect. And I'll show my pictures. I ended up fluffing the powder up a little bit, so it's going to look a little bit different. But there's our first mark, and then there's where we are right now. Of course, a little bit of the powder gets stuck on, at the top of the sifter, but this is a pretty good representation of where we're at. And again, I'll have my pictures pop up. So we were at 46.29 grams at roll-in, and now we're at 38 grams even. I did use this 25 times, and so I ended up using 8.29 grams of this product. And again, I have to say, I go through powders very quickly. I do have oily skin, so I set my entire face. Right now I'm using a little triangle puff, and I just dip it in there, and then I press the powder into my face. But I go through powder like nobody's business, so this will, I don't want to say most likely, I will say this will certainly be an empty next month. All right, now we have my empty, and if you've been keeping track and you're like, where's your foundation? Well, here is my Believe Beauty foundation. So these were our tally marks from previous updates, and this seems like quite a bit of product, but while I was using up this product, I was mixing in another foundation. So once I finished that one, and I'll link my buys and buys so you can see my foundation empties from last month, I'll link it up in the cards. But once I got that other foundation done, this was the only foundation I was focusing on, so it was easy to use up the rest of that product. And so we were at 126.3 grams last month. Then the empty container is 119.17. I used it 19 total times, and I used 7.13 grams of product. So again, this is something that I would buy in the future. It is a beautiful product. It's $5 from the dollar store, and so I really enjoyed it. But there are some other foundations in my collection that I want to get through, and there are some other foundations that I want to try out in the upcoming year. So I don't know if this will be on a repurchase list anytime soon, but if you're looking for an affordable foundation that has medium coverage, then this is a good one. So let's do the roll-ins. So I'll roll in the product that I actually started using in March. And because I finished up the Believe Beauty foundation in 19 uses, I did roll in my next oldest foundation. So this is the NARS Soft Matte Foundation. I have mine in Yukon Light 2.5, and here's my markings. So the top marking is where I was when I started using it in March, and the next one is where we're at now. This product does separate a little bit, and I'll have my photo where you can see the line of demarcation a little bit. So you really do have to shake this up before you use it, so it's hard to show on camera because I did use this foundation today. But when I rolled it in March, we were at 77.68. We're now at 75. 0.97. I did use it 4 times, and I already used 1.71 grams in that 4 usage. So this is 1.5 fluid ounces, so it's 1.5 typical foundations. So with that, this is going to take a little bit longer for me to use. Typically, I can run through a 1 ounce foundation in 3 to 4 months, but because this is a foundation and a half, this is going to take me a little bit longer, and I'm going to be mixing this with other things here and there to either make it a little bit more glowy or a little bit less coverage, because you do not need concealer with this. I have a couple breakouts, a couple friends happening on my face right now. Of course, one of these days I'm going to have to do a get ready with me so you guys can see how red I am underneath my foundation. If you watch my last video, which was, new makeup releases and what's tempting me in the makeup world, if you watch how red my chest gets just from my hair sitting on it, that is what happens to my face. So the fact that I love full coverage, like this is perfect. But even to me, with the first time I put this on, I was like, holy crap, that is coverage. So this is kind of like concealer optional. So there might be some days when I want to sheer it out a little bit. Today I have this mixed in with a BB cream, so I wanted to sheer it out a little bit because we all know when we go get our hair cut at the salon and they spray our hair down or they wash our hair, our makeup is just ruined. So I try not to do anything that would be blatantly obvious if my makeup starts running if I'm at the hairdresser. So this one, I have a goal to finish it. Again, it's going to be here for quite a few months, but if you love the satisfaction of just watching the lines go down and watching people finish things, then stick around. So rolling in for the e.l.f. Dewy Primer is I have the e.l.f. Power Grip. So this is brand new. I have never used this. I have a dog hair in my nose. Excuse me. The dangers of living with 3 German Shepherds is that there's just hair on everything. But like I was saying before, the dog hair interrupted me, is I have never used this. So this is brand spanking new, so I'll be able to see how many usage I can get out of this. I had mentioned this before that this only has 0.811 fluid ounces, while this one is a fluid ounce. So this has less product. Obviously, it's a smaller package. So, of course, I'm going to get less usage out of this one than I did the other one. And also, if you look, like there's the black part up here, but if you turn it a little bit, you see the air bubble. So this product is only filled to right above that black line. It's not filled all the way to the top, here nor there. But probably this will be like 2 months of work, but we're starting at 39.99. So I am very curious on seeing, number one, how this compares to the Dewy, because apparently e.l.f. has told us that it's the same formula. So I'll be interested to see how that is, but also I am interested to try this out to see if this is going to be my new Holy Grail primer. Rolling in for the Becca highlighter is I'm bringing back this. So this is an oldie but a goodie, and I'll pop up on the screen some pictures of, I focused on this highlighting palette last year and I kind of cataloged it in Project Pans and on Instagram. So I kind of have the satisfying progress pictures to show how much of this I used up. Now, when I show you the inside of this, it is going to look very different. And let me actually grab what I did so that I can show that to you. All right, so let me show you the inside of this palette. It is very reflective, so I will try not to blind everybody, but this is what we're looking like right now. And it looks very different. These two will look very similar to the last picture, but these two are very different. So what I ended up doing is this shade down here was basically a duplicate of this shade. And so I scraped all this out and I put it into my body lotion. So I didn't need like 3 grams of the same highlighter in a palette. So that is mixed into a body lotion. I will consider that pan complete when I finish that body lotion. And then this one here had a huge pan and big side pan at the end of last year. So of course I Frankened these back. And what I did is I took my Fenty highlighter, and this is in Mean Money and Hustler Baby, and I scraped everything out. So typically what I liked doing, the subtle side was too subtle for me, and I actually kind of felt like it looked a little bit chalky on my skin, and I loved the more intense side, and so I ended up always mixing the two together whenever I would use them. So I said, hell, let me just go ahead and Franken these products. So what I actually did is I took, trying not to drop this, I took the remainder of what was in this shade and I mixed it with the subtle side of the Fenty highlighter. And then this pan here is just the intense side of the Fenty highlighter. So when I repress this, and again, I hope this makes sense with my math, because again, I've been tracking this product for quite some time. When I took the product out of this pan and added back in what was in the Fenty, I ended up with about the same weight. So we are starting at 120.97 grams. My goal at first will be to, of course, hit pan on these two, but I think that I want to have this as my focus palette for the rest of the year. And if I can use up these two pans, then that means that I've used up this entire highlighter. So that's going to be my goal. And again, this is probably confusing because I Franken everything, so I'm sorry for that. But overall, it still smells like vanilla, and it's so good. There's something about scented makeup, and I'm using a Too Faced palette right now, the chocolate gold, and every time I open it, it just smells so good. I'm to the point where I almost want to buy makeup that is scented, because it's just such a good experience to open it and have that delicious smell. But I digress. This is going to be my focus highlighter palette, and so we'll be able to see, again, some really good progress on me hitting pans and expanding pans in this palette. I'm rolling in my next oldest ColourPop lip liner, so this is in another round. This is practically brand new. I've maybe sharpened it 5 or 6 times, and so I looked at my spreadsheets and so just comparison, this is what we're looking at. Little one I have been using since August, and so I'm anticipating if I start focusing on this one will also be used up by the end of the year, if I'm giving myself 8 months or so to focus on this. And I mean, that just shows you the bang for the buck. Now, of course, this one is also where, will it do it? Yeah, so this is already coming out. I can pull this whole thing out. I'm not going to because it'll end up breaking it. But the product is already separated from the packaging, but it doesn't affect the way that it works. And so we are going to start tracking my progress on this lip liner. And again, I think this is the only one that I'm going to take with me on my trip, just so I don't have to pack my sharpener. Oh, and I forgot to say, we're starting at 7.23 grams for the lip liner. Last roll-in is going to be a bronzer. Again, I anticipate using up the Becca bronzer, and so what I'm going to roll in, I'm not going to show the outside packaging because it is so reflective, but I'm rolling in my Franken bronzer. So I am only weighing, and I'll take it out, I'm only weighing the pan by itself. And so this big pan came out of the Wet n Wild Reserve Your Cabana. That's where this pan is from. So this is a mix of a couple bronzers, plus it has my Hourglass Mood Exposure powder in it. So all those little light flecks that you're seeing in there, that's the Hourglass powder. The Hourglass powder was a little bit too deep to be a setting powder for my face, and I was getting no use out of it, so I ended up crushing it up and mixing it in with bronzers to give me a little bit more of a glowy bronze type look. So since this is a Frankened and repressed product, I don't feel like this is going to take me a long time to use. There is quite a bit of powder kick up, and so but I am just super excited about tracking the progress on this. And what I love about it, it fits so perfectly in like a 9-pan like Z palette, and it almost makes me want to buy like the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer refill and just put it in a Z palette. Like, you don't have to have the fancy packaging. I know a lot of people love the packaging, but it just makes me think if more brands are going to be doing refills, just buy the refill and put it in your own magnetic palette. So that's on my radar, but again, I have plenty of bronzer that I can go through, so I'm not worried about that. But again, ooh, did you see reflective packaging? So we are starting at, again, I'm just weighing the pan, 21.55. And again, my goal is to finish this completely. So I am super excited about all the products that are currently in my rotation, and I'm also super excited about all the empties and rollouts that we are going to have next update. So make sure you tune in, make sure you subscribe, do all the things, because it is going to be an exciting update next time. But let's go ahead and roll into my Pan That palette. So I am working on the ColourPop Give It To Me Straight. And what I've been doing is I have been rolling a quad in to focus on. So this is my quad. This is the same quad that I was working on last month. These shadows were practically not touched, and so I have been working on putting some dips into them. I think I am very, very close to hitting pan on the cream shade. And with this, I use it to set my eyelid primer every single day. So with this one, I'm not going to necessarily put it back once I've hit pan. I am going to use this one up to completion. This shade over here, it's very bright, and so I think I'll get a lot more use out of that over the summer once it gets hot and I want to do more of those bronzy looks. I am loving this shade. I actually have it in my crease and on my lower lash line today. I'm loving this. This warm shade, I feel like I'll get more use out of it in the summer, but I do have a very good dip in there. This one has the glitters pressed into it, so it is a little bit more loosely pressed. It does kick up a whole lot more. So I guess maybe I could hit pan on this one next month, and definitely I'll have pan on the cream shade. So I'll show you the rest of the inside of this palette, and something's going to look very different to you. So this is what the palette's looking like, and you probably can notice that there's a big shiny pan here. So this is the shade Actually, and it's a dark brown, kind of like almost like a reddy brown shade. And with this, I felt like I wasn't going to get use out of it in the state that it was. Like, it was practically brand new. Like, even owning this palette for years, I never used that shade to darken up the outer V, and so I decided to use it for a different purpose. So I actually took the entire shade and I crushed it up, and then let me grab the other palette. I mixed it with a shade from my Pan That palette from last year, which is the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes. I'll try not to blind you with this one either. I mixed it with this shade here, which again was another dark, brown with a little bit of red in it. And that shade is called Chocolate Drip. And so I took the two shades from that, and I took a little bit of my translucent setting powder. Sorry about that, had to take a sneeze break. But I took those two shades and a little bit of translucent powder, and I mixed it and repressed it into here. So I am currently using this as a hair powder. So if you look at the color of my hair, the color of this, it's a very good match. I just dyed my hair so my roots don't look too bad, but again, I have a little bit of, I don't want to call it thinning, but I do have thinner hair around here. So being able to fill that in with a hair powder, and if I'm wearing my hair in a part and it's been a couple weeks since I've dyed it, it's nice to be able to get this powder and just tap it into my part line and kind of make some of my natural hair color, which is lighter than this, and also some of my grays, make them disappear. So I felt like I would get more use out of those two shades as a hair powder rather than in a palette. So I don't know when I'm going to call that shade done, maybe when like half of this is done. But I have been using this quite a bit. I have really been loving it. I think it makes my hairline just look so much better because, again, I do have more dirty blonde type hair naturally. So when it grows out, you can definitely tell that there is a color difference. So I'm enjoying using this as a hair color. So no big exciting updates on the Pan That palette, but again, I feel like I'll have some pans next month to share with you. If I can hit 2 or 3 pans, over the next couple weeks, that would be amazing, and I'd be able to move on. Let me see what colors I'd want to move on to next. I'm thinking about this shade down here. So if I can hit pan on those two highlighter shades in the Tarte palette, then I think that I will end up pulling this out, which this shade is called Upfront. I'll end up pulling this one out, and I will use that as my inner corner highlighting shade. And if I use that as just an inner corner, I'll be able to hit pan in about a month or two. So that one is a contender. But I think once I hit pan on the mattes, I know I'm going to have to use these burgundy shades down here, and I think I'll end up rolling those in the summer. But I think once I hit pan on all, not the summer, the fall. The fall. Forgive me. But I think once I hit pan on all of the mattes, I'm going to just rotate them back in and out and just try to expand the pans. I have really enjoyed using these palettes and using these colors. I've really enjoyed just kind of reaching in here for some staple mattes to build up a shade, especially because, like I said, right now I'm using my Too Faced Chocolate Gold, which that's what I have on my eyes today. And that only has 4 mattes in it, and so I like being able to reach into this for some different mattes to kind of build my look. But that is everything for my update number 3 for my project pan. Again, if you want to stick around and see some awesome rollouts next month, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. If you are also doing a project pan, let me know how you're doing. I really appreciate all of you. It has been so wonderful making content on YouTube and kind of joining this community. But I hope all of you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.